example that you can think of how somebody can cheat just adds another 100 votes, another 1 out of 100. That's 1%. That's what we're talking about here, folks. 1%, 1 out of 100. You'll be like, well, that never happens. That hardly ever happens. Well, yeah, maybe that could happen. You take all of those, you get to maybe 15, 20 different. Now you get to 20 different excuses like that. That's like 20,000 people. That's the election. Most of us have at least 100 friends on Facebook. And I bet you, if you scroll through your list, you could pick out at least one person who, if they got 2 ballots, they would have filled them out both and sent them in, whether it was for Trump or for Biden. And if you think you don't, I would do it. I don't give a fuck. I will admit it. If they sent me 2 ballots, because I live in California, and here's what it is. All a human has to do is to be able to rationalize their actions. That's all it takes. How do you kill another person? Well, you have to rationalize it, right? He broke into my house. I was afraid for my life. I killed him. Welcome back, everybody! So we are in week, I guess, 2 of the election. And the thing that has been bothering me all week is this video.
I work at the vote bailouts, which means we get your votes and we separate them. So if some of these votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump, that one just don't make it towards the mail.
Alright, so this is a little segment I like to call Uncle Johnny Breaks It Down for You. Now, a lot of people have like the emotional reaction of, well, there's no way that anybody faked, 50, 60, 70,000 ballots. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. Most of these elections that went to Biden were decided by less than 1%. Now, when Uncle Johnny puts things into perspective for you, this is all it takes. This asshole.
So, if some of these votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump, that one just don't make it towards the mail.
Takes 1 Trump vote out of 100. Rips it, throws it away. Nobody's watching him. Why isn't anybody watching him? Oh, because the Democrats locked the Republicans out. So, that's it. He doesn't have to rip up a whole lot. He rips up 10 Trump ballots. That negates a batch of 1,000. That means the next batch of 1,000 votes that come in need to be, every single one needs to be 101 for Trump just to catch back up. It doesn't take a whole lot. When you talk about percentages, this is why I always tell people, the logical way to look at things is usually with percentages. The only time that emotional leftards use percentages is if the murder rate tripled under Donald Trump. Oh, so you mean the murder rate went from 3 people to 9 people? Okay, there were 6 more murders. And that's the only time leftards will ever use percentages is if it benefits their narrative. Now, back to the election results. Okay, so you got this one guy, okay, maybe he only ripped up 1 vote.
So, if some of these votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump, That one just don't make it towards the mail.
You know, and he just did it. The thing that bothers me, it bothers me so much it makes me talk like Joe Biden. Is that there is an audience for that. Obviously, he thinks that there are people out there that want to watch him tear up a Trump vote. You know, I don't know. I don't know if there's a big audience for on the right that want to see Biden votes torn up. Most of the people that I see on the right tend to be, I want to see Biden crushed, you know, by real votes. That didn't happen. And, you know, that's, like, I love the conservative twins, the Hodge twins. And they put it pretty well. Shouldn't even matter. This guy should be able to tear up 500 ballots, and it shouldn't even matter. But, anyway, back to my point. So this guy, all he has to do is tear up 1 out of 100 votes in a swing state, and that's the election. That's it. That's the election. But it's not just coming from that, because they say, well, there's no way that they faked, you know, 50,000 votes. I think, at last I heard, and who knows, people could just be lying. People could just be pulling this out of their ass. But last I heard was there was something like 70,000 votes in Pennsylvania, where the only person checked on the entire ballot was Joe Biden. They didn't vote anything down ticket. They didn't vote for any propositions. Nothing. And that shows true on the House races. You know, what, so far, like at last I checked, it looked like the Dems were going to lose 11 seats in the House. Now, as you all know, a coin has two sides. So it can't just be, you know, poll workers tearing up Trump votes. It came out this week also that they're finding a lot of women who cast votes under their maiden name and their married name. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be a lot. If 1 in 100 women cast 2 votes for Biden, that's the election. That's it. There's your half of a percent. There's your 3/4 of. There's your 1%. Remember, 1% is 1 out of 100. These races are less than 1%. That's all it takes. This knucklehead ripping up 1 out of 100 Trump votes that he sees.
These votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump. That one just don't make it towards the mail.
That's the election. These knucklehead women voting twice. Once for their maiden name, once for their married name. That's the election. 1 out of 100 people gets a mail-in ballot for their mom who passed away 6 months ago. That was a Biden supporter. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to fill this out because if she was here, she would have voted for Biden. That's very easy to rationalize in your mind. If she was here, she would have voted for Biden. She's not here, so she can't vote for Biden. You did a very bad thing, you naughty, naughty boy. That's the election. 1 out of 100. 1 out of 100 people that go to the polls don't speak very good English and tell the poll worker, you know, hey, I don't understand or whatever. Maybe they don't have a ballot in Tagalog. You know, it's like, hey, no, yeah, just this one, yeah, Joe Biden. takes is one worker in a poll place with a Sharpie. You want to talk about Sharpie Gate? How about this? How about he's sitting there with a Sharpie, nobody can really tell. 1 out of 100 ballots that comes across for Trump, he Sharpies in Biden too. That nullifies the ballot. Because you can't vote for Biden and Trump, throw it away. It doesn't take one person filling out 50,000 ballots for Biden. All it takes is, 1 out of 100 women voting twice. 1 out of 100 guys receiving a ballot for their dead mom, filling it out for her, because those would have been her wishes, and that's fine. If she would have been here, then her vote should have counted. She's not here. Her vote doesn't count. Sorry. If my mom was alive, she would have voted for Trump. Anyway, it doesn't take a lot. You're talking about 1 out of 100. If you put it in sheer numbers, yeah, it seems like it's impossible. Oh, it's impossible to fake it. That's 70,000 votes. That's impossible. That's 1 out of 200. It's 0.5%. That's not a lot. Most of us have at least 100 friends on Facebook. And I bet you, if you scroll through your list, you could pick out at least one person who, if they got 2 ballots, they would have filled them out both and sent them in, whether it was for Trump or for Biden. And if you think you don't, I would do it. I don't give a fuck. I will admit it. If they sent me 2 ballots, because I live in California, and here's what it is. All a human has to do is to be able to rationalize their actions. That's all it takes. How do you kill another person? Well, you have to rationalize it, right? He broke into my house, I was afraid for my life, I killed him. You don't really have to kill them. They deserve it, but you don't really have to kill them. Like Biden says, just shoot him in the leg. Just avoid that femoral artery or they'll bleed out in like 4 seconds. But anyway, I digress. If you're my friend on Facebook, you cannot say that you don't know anybody that wouldn't fill out a ballot twice. Trust me. If for whatever reason, I lived in LA a lot of years, I was registered up there a lot of years, now I live in Orange County. If they sent me 2 ballots, one for LA County and one for Orange County, and just for whatever reason it got forwarded to my Orange County address, fuck yeah, I'll fill it out. Because I can be like, well, obviously they don't know where I live, and I want my vote to count at least once. So I'll vote once for Orange County and once for LA County. Knowing damn good and well for the last, 12 years, I've been living in Orange County, so all I have to do is fill out my Orange County ballot and send it in. But if they called me on it, if the election police showed up on my door and said, hey, you showed up twice, or you voted twice, we're going to send you to jail. Like, I didn't vote twice, I voted once. I voted once for LA County and once for Orange County, because you guys sent me 2 ballots. I don't know if you know where I live, and I want my vote to count. It's my constitutional right. Only takes one of me. That's an election. So, anyway, for those of you that are listening to the mainstream media saying, well, Biden wins by, he's winning by 3 million votes. Alright, well, all it takes, 1 out of 100 people voting twice. Honestly, all it takes is 1 out of 300 people voting twice, 1 out of 300 people voting themselves plus a dead person. 1 out of 300 people ripping up a Trump ballot. And actually, we can do that out of 400 people. All it takes. So I've given you 4 examples of how to game the system. I can think of 100 million because I'm an evil genius. But for now, we'll just go with these 4. So all it takes is 1 out of 400 people at the polling places rips up 1 ballot. 1 out of 400 votes twice, once under their maiden name, once under their married name. All it takes is 1 person voting for themselves and voting for a dead relative whose ballot got mailed to their house. All it takes is for 1 person who accidentally got 2 ballots, maybe 1 from 1 county, maybe 1 from another county. Oh, I'll even throw in a 5th one. 1 out of 500 now. Like these people in Las Vegas or in Nevada in general, but predominantly Las Vegas, who only live there part of the year, or they moved out more than 30 days ago, but they still got an election ballot. Well, in the state of Nevada, you're not allowed to vote in Nevada if you haven't lived there in the last 30 days. You got a bunch of people that are casting their ballots and haven't lived there in the last 30 days. That's all it takes. 1 out of 500 people. Every example that you can think of how somebody can cheat just adds another 100 votes. Another 1 out of 100. That's 1%. That's what we're talking about here, folks. 1%. 1 out of 100. Maybe like, well, that never happens. That hardly ever happens. Well, yeah, maybe that could happen. You take all of those. You get to maybe 15, 20 different. Now you get to 20 different excuses like that. That's like 20,000 people. That's the election. Well, this is my exit. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that Uncle Johnny could break it down to you in simple, rational form. If not, that's fine. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next time. Bye.